Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure to be back.
I was thinking about this one. This deep dive is going to be especially fun.
I think so too.
Ellie and the Echo Lake Mystery.
Oh, yeah.
What a charming children's story.
Such a good one.
But you know what's really cool about it?
What's that?
It's not just a story.
Yeah.
It teaches a really valuable lesson about listening.
It does, and in such a clever way, too.
Exactly. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
We're always telling kids to listen.
Right.
But this story actually shows them why it's so important.
And it does it without being preachy or boring.
So true. And that's what makes it so effective, I think.
I agree.
So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
Our main character, Ellie the Elephant.
Ah, Ellie.
She's a real chatterbox.
She is, isn't she?
Loves to talk and share stories.
Always has something to say.
But sometimes
Sometimes. What?
she forgets to listen when others are talking.
Oh, that's a good point. It's something we all struggle with sometimes, right?
Totally. Like even as adults,
Yeah.
we can get so caught up in our own thoughts.
Absolutely.
And we forget to really listen to what others are saying.
And I think that's what makes Ellie so relatable.
Especially for kids. They're naturally excited to share their own experiences.
They are, and that's a good thing. We want them to be enthusiastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also important to teach them how to balance that with being a good listener.
Right. Finding that
Yeah.
balance is key.
So in the story, there's this one part
Oh, I know this part.
where Ellie's friend, Foxy Felix,
Oh, poor Felix.
he's bursting with excitement
I bet he was.
to tell Ellie about something he discovered.
He couldn't wait to share his news.
But as he starts talking,
Uh-oh.
Ellie gets distracted.
Classic Ellie.
She starts talking about her own adventures.
What was she talking about?
She saw a beautiful butterfly in a field of purple flowers.
Oh, no, poor Felix. He must have been so disappointed.
I know, right? Imagine being so excited to share something,
Oh.
and the person you're talking to just completely ignores you.
It's heartbreaking, really.
It is, and it happens all the time.
More often than we realize, I think.
And it's not just with kids.
I don't know at all.
Adults do it too.
All the time. And it can have a real impact on relationships.
You're right. It can make people feel unimportant.
Or like their thoughts and feelings don't matter.
Exactly. So it's something we really need to be mindful of.
Absolutely. Being a good listener is so crucial for building strong relationships.
Okay, so back to the story.
Okay.
Ellie is off on her own,
All right.
and she stumbles upon this lake.
This is where things get interesting.
It's called Echo Lake.
Echo Lake.
Now, this is no ordinary lake.
What's so special about it?
It's magical.
Magical. How?
Everything Ellie says, the lake repeats right back to her.
Whoa. That's cool. I wish I had a lake like that.
Right, so at first, Ellie thinks it's fun,
I bet she did.
but then she starts to get frustrated
Why is that?
because the lake isn't saying anything new.
Oh, I see.
It's just echoing everything she's saying.
So it's like a mirror reflecting her own words back to her.
Exactly. And that's when Ellie starts to think.
What's going through her mind?
Maybe
Yeah.
she's been talking too much.
I'm not listening enough.
You got it.
I love how the story does that, you know?
What do you mean?
It doesn't come right out and say Ellie needs to listen more.
Right.
It shows her realizing it on her own.
Through this magical experience.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
so much more powerful that way.
So what happens next?
Well, that's a story for our next part. Stay tuned to find out how Ellie's encounter with Echo Lake changes her and how her friends react to her newfound listening skills.
Can't wait. We'll be right back after a short break. Join us for part 2 of our deep dive into Ellie and the Echo Lake mystery.
So we left off talking about Ellie and that magical Echo Lake.
Yeah, what a cool way to show Ellie what it's like to be on the other side of a conversation.
Right, like when you're trying to talk and the other person just isn't listening.
Exactly. It's like talking to a wall.
Pretty much. But that experience really got Ellie thinking.
It did. And she starts to realize
What's she realizing?
that maybe she hasn't been the best listener.
Oof, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is, but it's also a really important realization.
Totally, because once you recognize that you have a problem.
Then you can start to fix it.
Exactly. So what does Ellie do? How does she change after her little epiphany by the lake?
Well, the story does a really great job of showing us this
How so?
through Ellie's interactions with her friends.
Ah, I see. So she starts putting her newfound awareness into practice.
Exactly. Remember Foxy Felix?
The one who was so excited to share his discovery.
Yes. Well, this time Ellie actually asks him about his day.
Ah, that's sweet. She's finally giving him the attention he deserves.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And she does the same with her other friends, too.
So she's really making an effort to be more present in her conversations.
Totally. And it makes a huge difference.
I bet it does. How do her friends react?
They're thrilled. They feel heard and appreciated.
Which is what we all want, right? To feel like our thoughts and feelings matter.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of listening.
It strengthens relationships and creates a sense of connection.
And the story highlights this in such a sweet way. There's this one part where Ellie is listening to her friend, Ribbit the frog,
Okay.
and she says, "My big ears are wide open."
Oh, I love that. Such a cute visual.
Right. It shows that she's fully engaged and paying attention.
Which is what being a good listener is all about.
So Ellie learns her lesson. Her friends are happy.
And everyone lives happily ever after.
Well, not exactly.
Oh, what happens?
The story doesn't suggest that Ellie becomes a perfect listener overnight.
That's actually a really good point.
It is.
Yeah,
Because learning any new skill takes time and practice.
especially something like listening, which requires a conscious effort.
Totally. And there will be times when we slip up.
Of course, we're all human.
But the important thing is to keep trying.
To be mindful of how our words and actions affect others.
Exactly. And Ellie and the Echo Lake Mystery does a wonderful job of conveying this message.
In a way that's both engaging and relatable for young readers.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive.
Where we'll explore the lasting impact of Ellie's transformation and how the simple act of listening can create a ripple effect of kindness and connection.
Okay, so we're back with Ellie and the Echo Lake Mystery. And we've seen how Ellie's starting to become a much better listener.
Right. It's great to see her putting in the effort.
And remember how her friends were reacting?
Oh, yeah. They were so happy.
They finally felt heard.
It makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
It really does. Like when someone is actually listening to you.
And not just waiting for their turn to talk.
Exactly. It makes you feel like what you have to say actually matters.
It's like a special kind of magic.
I love that you said that because
Yeah.
that's how the story describes listening.
Oh, really? What does it say?
It says, listening is a special kind of magic.
Oh, I love that.
Me too. And it's so true.
It really is, because when you listen to someone,
You're giving them a gift.
the gift of your attention,
And your understanding.
which can be incredibly powerful.
So I think this story is a great reminder
Of what?
that listening is something we should all strive for.
In all our relationships,
With our friends,
our families,
our teachers.
everyone.
And you know what else I love about this story?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't end with Ellie being a perfect listener.
Oh, that's a good point.
It shows her making progress.
But it acknowledges that it's an ongoing process.
Exactly. Like we all make mistakes.
We do.
We get distracted.
We have our own thoughts and feelings.
And sometimes we just forget to listen.
But the important thing is to keep trying.
To be aware of our listening habits.
And to always strive to be better.
You know, I think that's a great message for everyone.
It is. It's a reminder that we're all works in progress,
And that's okay.
as long as we're open to learning and growing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So that wraps up our deep dive into Ellie and the Echo Lake Mystery.
It's been a pleasure exploring the story with you.
And with all of you listeners out there. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two about the magic of listening.
Remember, keep those ears open and be amazed by what you hear where you